Ted Bundy was quite literally arrested and had escaped from the jail. And that information and the photo negatives, after they rearrested him in handcuffs, walking him into the courthouse, were in that safe.
Welcome to Access Granted, a peek inside the real-life stories of physical security professionals. Now, here are your hosts, Justin, John, Ryan, and Brandon.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here. We're going to finish up our conversation with Wayne Winton, the president of ALOA in Tri-County Locksmith in Colorado.
Let's get into it.
So how did you go from your first ALOA convention in 2017 to the president in 2026? What was that?
I'll be honest, probably some of the same sessions that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Hearing those same problems over and over again and not really seeing any action and solution. Mm-hmm. I'm an action guy.
Yeah. If not me, then who? Yeah.
Right. And I'm always one of those people that I'm never going to bring a problem to the table without bringing a solution in the other hand. And I think that's a big difference of what separates me from other people. I think the ALOA presidency has traditionally been more of a feather in the cap as you're riding off into the sunset.
The good old boys club. Yeah.
And there's usually not a lot of motivation behind that. It's more of I've done my career, I've done what I need to do in the industry. This is me getting recognition for it. Yeah, exactly. And now I've done what I can do and I'm going to try and help out a little bit, but this is where I'm at. I came in with, I'm hustling and growing this association as much as I'm hustling and growing my business. And I'm using the exact same tactics to do it. The things that you just talked about, we have already addressed those. I don't know if you saw my latest speech or address to the industry where I've put together committees, and the education department right now, that is their sole goal. They are working on all of that. They're updating the PRP testing, number one. And number two, I'm not a surface guy. I am diving in and jumping in. So I'm working with the education department. I am taking these tests. So you wondered how I'm getting these credentials and how I'm passing these things. I'm working directly with the education department and working through it and writing down, here's the problems with this thing. Yeah. This doesn't make any sense to me. And if I can't figure it out, how the heck is anybody else supposed to figure it out? And if I'm finding frustration, other people are going to find frustration too. So we are existing, like right now we're working on that. And I think they're pretty much through a bunch of it. But by the end of this year, we should have a much newer, much more updated test. And we're going to be including the access control things that are happening in the industry as well. So this has been a huge capstone in the presidency that I've had so far.
So let's get to that, because that is one of my biggest complaints, because I come from a networking background. Even though I grew up in this industry, I actually left the company. I went out, I became a network engineer. I got college education for it. I've got the credentials for it from Cisco, everything else. And I am a nerd. But then we go, and I took the certified electrical. Okay. And it had so many issues in it. It was just unbelievable. Okay. So then I turn around, I'm going to take the master, and you say, wait a minute, you can't take the master because we're rewriting it. And I go, wait a minute. Why would you sunset a certification until you had a new one in place? That to me doesn't make sense. And I remember, we're talking about, I have certifications from Cisco, I have certifications from ESA, I have certifications, from, CompTIA. So it's like they never take a test and expire it until the new test is ready. And it's just like, we're not following best practices of what these industries
I understand that. Yeah, no, I completely understand where you're coming from with that. When your roads and your streets need to be repaved and worked on, it's going to be inconvenient. There's going to be an inconvenience with that. I'm not in charge of how their practices are being done or how exactly what steps they're taking to adjust those things. But I know at least we've got, because of what you just said, they're working on it. We know they're working on it because you just said that they're working on it. Is it probably the best way to go about it? There probably could have been a better way, but at least it's being worked on, and we know it's being worked on so that we can get back to having a quality program that's actually updated with relevant information.
I guess that next thing is then, what kind of pushback have you gotten? Has it been overwhelming? Yes, we need to do it, or it? Because I can tell just from our experience within the organization, I can see those guys that would push back completely, regardless of whether they thought it was a good idea or not. They're going to push back just because of change.
Just because it's changed, yeah. I've actually been pretty surprised. There has been a learning curve, and with any kind of politics, you've got to learn the atmosphere, and you've got to learn who is in your corner and who your players are. And I believe the board as a whole has a younger generation coming to its rescue and coming to its assistance right now. There are a lot of situations where I will present something and I will get pushback from it. But I'm one of those people that if we keep looping and looping and looping and looping, and I don't accept no as an answer or not changing as an answer, and we keep redefining it, basically I just grind and wear people into the ground until we prevail.
Judging by the industry as a whole, that's the only way you're going to do it. You're going to have to be the grindstone.
And I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to do that at this point in my career. I'm 42 years old, and I can handle it. If you want to play that game, I'll grind and I'll keep proving point after point after point, and I'll rally support. And I mean, if I need to, I'll use the members, and I'll rally the members and say, hey, this is something that I'm trying to do, and I'm getting pushback from the board, and the board is here to serve you. You tell me that you want this, and I'll push it through and make it happen, and I'll force them to do their job. If that's what it comes to, then I'll do that. If I have to go take a back avenue, I mean, I'll be honest. A lot of these things, I just don't ask permission for. I just do it.
You just do it, yeah.
And then it's one of those issues where you ask for forgiveness rather than permission, but by then it's already done and the ball's rolling. So
did you get treated like a freshman quarterback when you came in, going into an organization that a lot of the guys have been there for 40, 50 years, and you being there since?
It's actually, the board has been good. The board has actually been good. One of the first things, I went into this intelligently, though. One of the very first things that I wanted to do before starting making changes is to understand who each one of the players are and what their role is and what matters to them. I have to understand what they value and what matters to them and what matters to the staff. And I wanted to acknowledge the staff. And you'll see in any of the presidential notes that are in the president's column in keynotes, I wanted to really highlight the staff. We wanted to highlight the staff and acknowledge them for all the hard work that they do. I want to get on their good side. I want to make sure that we recognize them because they are the engine that helps drives this machine. Without the staff, the board can't do anything. And then I wanted to work with each one of the board members. And I was actually surprised. Most of the things that I wanted to put through and brought to the table were approved the first time around. It's actually been a very good system. Only on certain issues have we had a little bit of confrontation. And once again, I'm not here to back down. I'm not here to run from confrontation, and I'm here to push through to get what's right for the people, and whatever that takes.
Do you see ALOA in the grand scheme of things as far as on the customer facing side?
On a customer basis, like
so
the users, the members are the client?
I think what John's trying to say, I think what we're trying to say is ALOA's customer right now is someone like us, right? That's ALOA's customer. But we all see ALOA having a potential spot with being consumer facing as the one that the consumer can trust. And historically, I could wear this all day long, this little ALOA shirt that I have. I could put it on the back of my truck, but nobody knows what it means. And right there, being possibly shifting towards a consumer facing for the benefit of the member might be a way to attract new members.
Well, let me tell you the vicious cycle that we're running into with that, because it's definitely an issue. What I've done is every single board meeting, I try and approve and allocate more money towards the social media advertising side of the association. The only way that we're going to get more advertising or get in front of people more and that younger generation is to run ads on social media. It would be like running ads on TV, 15 years ago, right? You have to get that information out to those people, but it's hard to get their approval to do that, because what we have to do, the vicious cycle is if membership is going down, then we have less funding to allocate towards advertising, which would bring the numbers up, but we can't bring the numbers up if we can't advertise. So it's this chicken and egg syndrome where I've definitely put more money towards it. We've definitely approved. This is the most amount that we've ever put towards the social media marketing budget, not to mention myself advocating and using my own advertising dollars and my own platforms to advertise for the association to try and gain new members. And now finally we're starting to see that trend go back up, where we were losing members since 2019, 2020, since COVID. We were on a steady downstream.
Yeah, they have to have a value.
If it doesn't have a value, people drop out.
Well, I know that's the biggest thing I see online from some of those guys. Your group online, Locksmith Network, right? Or Locksmith
Nation.
Locksmith Nation. Okay, I see that. That's some of those guys' biggest complaint is like, well, what's the value to it? Well, the rest of us see it as okay. Their secrets become mine, right? That type of deal. And I get education from certifications and everything else. Individuals help me succeed. But there's a lot of guys out there that I see that they complain about organizations like ours because they're like, well, what's the value to it? And well, in the end, it is a tax write-off. But you have to have the money first to pay that bill.
Did you catch the podcast that I did with Academy Locksmith?
I did not catch that one. No, I just watched the one you posted with Lab. But
oh, okay. Check out the one that we did with Academy Locksmith. What I did with them is I said we need to show that we are adding value and putting money in people's pockets. When they buy their ALOA membership, they are making an investment, hoping to get a return on that investment through education, networking, and jobs, right? Mm-hmm. You have to have those three things put together. And I understand this concept. So what I did was I talked to Academy Locksmith and I said, hey guys, who are you using or how are you finding your locksmiths? They're a national service provider, NSP, or facility maintenance company. And I really enjoy working with them because usually they're ready with a credit card to pay just about every time. Yeah. So I understand that they know how to work with locksmiths because they understand that concept. And so I contacted the head of the owner of the company or the CEO, and I was like, hey, let's do a podcast and let's talk about how your people find locksmiths, and let's utilize the ALOA Find a Locksmith page for your company. You guys utilize that and make that your first search before you go on to Google. Number one, this is going to be a win-win-win for everybody. You're going to get a better qualified technician to go out and run that job and execute that job in a more professional, ethical manner than any way else, than just randomly flicking through the Google doom scroll, right? We're going to show that we can add value to our members because now we have a national service provider that is committed to use that resource first. So it is putting money back in the pockets of ALOA members. You have to have an ALOA membership to be listed on that page, Find a Locksmith, and now it's being utilized for what it's supposed to be utilized for. The association wins because they're adding value to the member. The Academy Locksmith wins because they're getting a better quality of technician, and the technician wins because they're putting more money in their bank account, and Academy actually pays right away for the most part from what I've heard, at least with my personal experience with
Ryan, do they pay right away?
If you accept a check from them, it's about 30 to 60 days.
But
so it's not ideal, but it's a lot better than the rest of them.
You can request a credit card from them. I mean, if you want to run your calls that way.
Yeah.
I've done it before.
And they're ones out of all the third parties that we have done work for, Academy and Service Channel, those two, we don't typically have any problems scheduling. They're very understanding. Like, hey, it may take a return trip because I have to go out and find out what the problem is, and then it may just need parts, and I have to order it. And they're, yep, no problem. Yep. And so they're very easy going and very understanding of our field a little bit.
That's an option for them to start finding value there. I think what would be almost more just as beneficial is to say that Academy on the other side. Academy's using ALOA members, but Academy's in a ALOA partner, right? They have that stamp so that the guys that they're getting that call, oh no, wait, we're approved. ALOA meets with us. We pay our bills. They're not some of these other third parties, right, that are going to be the ones that most of us turn away. I think that's good. That's a good step. And we don't expect this to change overnight, right? You can't. But we do appreciate, Wayne, the fact that you're in there. You're of our generation. You see the need for some of this stuff because, like, we've talked about it too. Because, like, the consumer doesn't know what ALOA means. So how do we do that? And then B, has the association looked into seeing, like, maybe partnering with groups like Academy? Hey, you want good qualified locksmiths? Why don't you help us sponsor some of this stuff, sponsor classes and whatnot, other than just having a booth? Have we been, I guess, was that soliciting them for that, or is that kind of the hard next step?
I want to reestablish business connections first. And then one key rule in business, and I'm sure you guys would agree with this, is always come with a giving hand first. Yeah. And then we can come back and we can say, hey, this is seeming to work. We're getting a good feedback from this. What else can we do to maximize this relationship? And I believe that I believe Academy does have an associate membership. So that's as close as we can be. But ALOA has to be very careful because if we endorse somebody or
100%.
partner with somebody and then they don't pay their bills, right? Like let's just run this little quick scenario. Let's say I go run a call and then I didn't fill out my paperwork or I didn't make a phone call or I didn't check out or I didn't do something and then they don't pay me. And then I come back on the association and say, hey, you know what are you guys doing with these guys? These guys hurt me. They didn't pay me. Now we've gotten to a very, very sticky web that we don't want to find ourselves in. So we want to be able to embrace partners and we want to embrace people that can help the association. Yeah. So we are getting funding, when they buy booths and when they buy and purchase things, that money all goes to ALOA. And those are all great things. But we also need to remember that good fences make good neighbors, and we need to hold everybody at arm's length as well so that everybody has an equal opportunity. We also have to make sure that all of the other NSPs, it's a fair market, right? Oh, yeah, that's true. If we let them do it, we have to let somebody else do it too.
So we've kind of gone over, who you are, how you got into the business, ALOA. We usually like to end things on a funny note, just crazy things that we've ran into over the past. I know you have to have something. And it doesn't have to be specific.
Yeah. Maybe you opened the house and the old man that was sitting there was in his underwear, or
the fact that that's happened to us multiple times is,
or you go to the hoarder's house and they don't see their grossness, or you put your hand in a sticky cup of liquid in someone's car and you're like, I don't know what's 100% in that grossness. But yeah, what do you got, Wayne? What do you got for us in a good story?
So the best story that I have, the best job, and probably the thing that got me the most notoriety was the Ted Bundy safe. I don't know if you guys have heard this or not or seen it, but basically I went to the Glenwood Post-Independent, which was a local newspaper company, and I was going to play some ads for services, deadbolt installations or gun safe sales. And I walked in and I saw this old antique safe. Well, I was waiting for the person to talk to, and I said, hey, do you guys have the combination for that safe? Does it work? And they said, no, we haven't had it for years. Nobody knows what's in it. It's been there. We just use it as a table. It's just collecting dust. And yeah, I know. And I was like, well, that's a really cool old safe. I was like, how about this? I was like, I'll buy this ad with you, but let's take one step further. I'm always looking for every opportunity. I got like antenna for opportunity. And so I told him, I was like, look, safes equal mystery. Mystery equals content. You guys write an article. I'll open it for free. Whatever's inside, we'll feature, and you guys write a little article about me. I'll get some extra free advertising local in the community. And then you guys will get some cool content and write up an article, right? It's win-win-win. Well, it took a year to actually get that deal to go through. And then finally they pulled the trigger. And I was like, okay, cool, great. I guess they ended up they tried to call 2 other locksmiths that were local, and they said it couldn't be opened without destroying it. And I was like, yeah, right. Yeah. I'll have it open in 20 minutes. No problem. So I opened up the safe, and it turned out to be a time capsule, like literally from the 70s. The Ted Bundy was quite literally arrested and had escaped from the jail, and that information and the photo negatives after they rearrested him in handcuffs, walking him into the courthouse, were in that safe, along with like a New Year's baby and just stuff that they were going to run in that next magazine or that next newspaper cycle. All of these things were in there. There was a cool $20 bill in there that I have framed along with my article. And it blew up huge. Not only did they run an article locally, but it ended up getting on ABC News. ABC News actually ran a segment on it on TV. Fox News came and interviewed me. I couldn't have bought this amount of advertising if I wanted to. I was walking around a small mountain town and people were shaking my hand. Oh, you opened the Ted Bundy safe. So that was massive for my career.
Oh, wow.
Nationwide access to and advertising, and it even made it all the way across the pond over to the UK. So that is definitely one of the best, coolest stories that I've had so far, for sure.
That is neat. Yeah, we found someone's dead ashes, so we always like to tell people we found a dead body in a safe. And you got the crazy occasional rare gold coin that everyone swears is in the safe and it's nothing but empty when you get there. But that was a good one. We've never had anything go quite that viral, but that's awesome.
Yeah, we have Jackson, who's a young kid who goes viral sometimes, but that's about it so far.
Yeah.
But Wayne, I appreciate you sitting down and talking with us. Again, we're with Wayne Winton, with the president of ALOA and Tri-County Locksmith in Colorado, not Springs.
Pinewood Springs.
What was that again? Sorry.
Pinewood Springs, Colorado.
Pinewood Springs, Colorado. And of course, you can always find us at 1304 West 4th Street, Davenport, Iowa, or give us a call at 563-322-0123.
Or find us at jjlocks.com.
Thanks for listening to Access Granted, a podcast by J&J Access and Security in association with TAG. For more information about J&J Access and Security, visit jjlocks.com.
TAG.